Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of On Tap Bets and On Tap Golf. I am your host, Joey Ricotta at Joey Knows Nothing, joined as always by my good friend, Jack Bushman at Jack Bushman2. We are hoping for a much better connection and service tonight. We're going to get through this thing as clean as can be. That was just, I don't know what happened yesterday. Just awful. Had to talk to Comcast to yell at those guys for about an hour. And then I didn't do that, but I did fix my internet, I think. So, Jack, with that said, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, bro. We're a day closer to the start of this event, which I think is going to be a really good one. It's definitely the top field of the fall swing season. We got 15 of the top 20 in the official World Golf Rankings, a lot of big-name guys, really good top of the betting board. So I'm really stoked for this, and I think it's going to be a pretty tough task here at Congaree Golf Club. We've only seen it once before, like we mentioned yesterday. So I'm really excited for this event. I always like to see the harder courses and see those big name guys get tested rather than just throwing them a birdie fest and see who can get to 24 under, you know. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be tricky out there. A lot of opportunities to find trouble. There's just sand everywhere. It's a course we don't see a lot of. And I expect it to be one of the most difficult non-majors on the schedule this year. So I'm really looking forward to it, Joey. What about you?
Same, dude. You said all the things that I was probably going to say, with the sand being key here and, you know, just how difficult it played. I think it was like when they played at the Palmetto Championship in 2021, I believe it was the 12th most difficult course on tour, I want to say. Maybe it was more difficult than that, but I know what did Higo finish with? Was he like 11 under as the winner? So it's definitely going to be challenging. I think different time of the year, though, than when that was played. So maybe the weather will be a little bit different here. I don't know what the wind is going to be looking like. Maybe you can help me with that, but that's something I didn't quite look at. But we know with the yardage being par 71, you know, over 7,600 yards, this is going to be – you're going to need to pull out the driver. I think you're going to have to be pretty good off the tee. I know, Jack, you mentioned yesterday that you're looking at some accuracy guys and stuff like that. Strokes gain off the tee is obviously going to be huge. But, you know, they are in Ridgeland, South Carolina for the CJ CUP. First time ever being at this course for that, for this event. 15 of the top 20 golfers in this field teeing it up. I mean, you got another no-cut event, just like we had last week with the Zozo Championship. Just a kind of quick review of yesterday. We talked about some key stats and things like that you're looking for with this course. What are those key things that you're looking for?
Yeah, you already mentioned strokes gained off the tee. It's going to be necessary to hit the driver well this week, I think, in order to have a chance. And there is danger if you're not able to find the fairway. These are some really wide fairways, so you have to go pretty wayward in order to get into trouble. But one thing I was kind of looking at in terms of driving accuracy was more so like proximity from the fairway, like in terms of if guys don't hit the fairway, how bad do they usually miss? That was kind of a stat that I thought maybe could be intriguing this week, because it's not going to be too hard to hit the fairways. They're really big, but if you do miss those, you put yourself in danger to kind of just play up to the elements. You don't know what lie you're going to get. You could be in the sand. You could be behind a tree. There's also some like little grassy marshes sprinkled around in that sand that'll leave you with just a ridiculous lie. So that's kind of what I was looking for off the tee in terms of that. But I do think added distance is going to be a nice boost this week. I don't think it's necessary, but it's a nice boost if you're able to hit it long and straight. Then obviously approach, like most weeks, we hammer that in. The par fours are going to be pretty long, though, interesting to note, and that's where a lot of this yardage is made up. 6 of the 11 par fours this week are going to be over 450 yards, and even 3 of those 5 that will play shorter than 450 yards, they still come in between 435 and 445. So in general, par fours aren't really going to be scoring opportunities. Like, I think only 2 of them come in shorter than 400 yards total. So the par fours, not a lot of birdie opportunities. The par fives are long too. One of them is up into the 630s. So there's not going to be many gimme chances out here. So I kind of think you're going to need to be able to string together pars. All parts of the game are going to be tested. And it's just about who's going to be consistent throughout these 72 holes. We mentioned it's a no-cut event. So all the guys are going to be out there for 4 days, and I think they're going to be tested each and every day. You mentioned it might not be as firm and fast because this time we're in the fall as opposed to the Palmetto Championship, which was held in June. I still think there is going to be a little bit of added distance due to the way the fairways are built. They're actually sand capped, which means that the fairways and the greens were built on top of firm sand. And Tom Fazio, who designed this track, did that with the purpose of adding rollout to the golf balls. So I think you're going to need to be the complete package this week, because there's no way through 72 holes you're going to play a clean game. You're not just going to be putting it in the fairway, hitting the greens, and then going and putting. You're going to miss sometimes, and it's going to put you in dangerous opportunities. And you're going to have a good short game at certain times. You're going to have to be able to be long and accurate off the tee. Got to hit greens and regulations when you have those chances. So with that kind of being the case this week, Joey, I really do feel like someone from up near the top, one of the more elite players in the field, is probably, in my opinion, going to come away with a victory, just because you need that complete game. So that's really where I'm going to be honing in, unfortunately, once again this week. I know that's not how you like going about building your cards, but I just kind of get that vibe this week with the type of field, the type of course, how it's going to play, in my opinion. Again, we've only seen this track once, though, so there is kind of a fair amount of guesswork going into this week, but I feel like that's how it's going to play in my mind. What do you think, Joey?
I mean, that's the Jack Bushman on tap difference right there. When you're talking proximity off the tee with the accuracy too. I like the way you put that. It does have that links golf type of feel, and Tom Fazio definitely wanted to add in some more run off the, play more of like a ground golf game where, the ball hits and rolls, and you got to be really careful about your placement. And, I did kind of ignore accuracy a little bit this week, only because I feel like if you do hit it a little bit far, and that's why I kind of looked at like the proximity from the sand with some of this, the scrambling metrics I was looking at, things like that, scrambling from the sand. But like you said, even if you hit it kind of just a little bit inaccurate off the tee, that ball can hit somewhere and roll into like a sandy waste area or something. Like, it's going to be, because I do believe it still will play, pretty firm and fast, even though it's a different time of year than the last time they were on this course. I do firmly believe that. And I also think that, Higgo had what he was the 11 under. Like, I think with this strong of a field, last time they were at the Palmetto, it wasn't as strong of a field as it is this time. So I think that score could be 14 under to 16 under this time around. So I'm kind of with you that it's probably going to take one of those premier golfers to win this tournament. But I do think that there is a chance where, some of these guys haven't been golfing as much recently, where maybe you could take advantage of, them not being as, I don't want to say in shape, but like as on top of their game as normal, where some of these other guys that are golfing every week, maybe they can kind of take advantage of that. But there's a lot that went into my research this week, from, the scrambling metrics to the off the tee game. I do think being a heavy hitter is going to play an advantage here. But it's all about how you hit that second shot. You talked about, where you're hitting it from and stuff like that. I also looked at approach from greater than 200 yards. I think that was something you mentioned on yesterday's show, was, the mid to long irons playing a factor here. So I think that that's something that I really wanted to look at. And what do you know? One of the guys this week was at the top of that list last year. Let's get into it. Top of the board, Rory, number one, obviously, 7-1. I'm seeing that right now. Got around 9.5 to 1. Sketchcraft 12 to 1. Justin Thomas 16 to 1. Sanjay M 22 to 1. Jordan Spieth 25 to 1. Matthew Fitzpatrick 25 to 1. Yesterday you didn't place that yet, but you were kind of looking. Obviously, you're definitely looking in this range. What do you like from here?
Yeah, I like a lot of the guys from this range. It's kind of tough, and I think for all of these betting ranges, for a lot of things this week, actually, I think you got to kind of pick an angle, and there's a lot of them. You just mentioned one of them, how a lot of these guys haven't really played. They haven't gotten off to the hottest starts this fall or haven't even really been out there too much. And then there's also the angle of guys flying from Japan all the way to South Carolina this week. You could play an angle of, well, that's going to impact them in some jet lag and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of ways that you can shape all of this up this week. So I think it's really interesting that there are just so many different narratives in this type of field. And it's really been tough to pick one because there are so many ways that I can view a lot of these big name players. But ultimately, I decided that I'm going to pass on Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Scotty Scheffler. Just think I'm not going to get there on those type of numbers in this deep of a field where I think there are plenty of guys in this, as we start to trickle down into the mid-range that still have a really decent chance. So the guys I fell on in this range, Joey, were Justin Thomas and Matt Fitzpatrick. I mentioned both of them yesterday. I locked both of those bets in already. Justin Thomas at 16-1 on DraftKings. I think that's a really fair number. And I feel like this is just a place that Justin Thomas, while he's never played here before, I think it's going to suit his eye really well because it's one of those courses where you really need to have every type of shot. You're going to find yourself in so many different scenarios. You're going to have to hit the high draw, the low stinger, the cut. And Justin Thomas is so creative with his shot selections and what he's able to do in order to get around. We know he's an elite iron player. He's incredible tee to green, and he's also really savvy with his short game and can get up and down from anywhere. So I think this is a course that fits Justin Thomas's game really well. He also has a really lofty track record on Tom Fazio designs. So all angles to me, while Justin Thomas, his only appearance so far this fall was the President's Cup, he looked pretty good there. And he's a guy who's won a lot in the fall in the past. So I really like Justin Thomas at 16-1. He's the first guy I locked in. And then Matt Fitzpatrick, when you talk about difficult courses and well-rounded games, that's Matt Fitzpatrick's jam. That fits him to a T.
High floor, man. High floor.
We've always seen him perform really well on these difficult courses where pars can be a good score. He fits well here. These are the courses where his game, where the best comes out of his game. And while he has, I feel like the buzz certainly has faded around his name since that U.S. Open victory. If you go look at his results since then, he's still been as consistent as ever. He's got a bunch of top 20s, I believe, in 6 of his last 9 starts. And he also recently had a runner-up finish to Robert McIntyre in the Italian Open where he lost in the playoffs. So still playing some pretty good golf, even though his name hasn't generated the same type of buzz as it did last summer. And go and look at the metrics for Matt Fitzpatrick last year. I was actually doing this when writing up my article earlier today, and it's outrageous. I mean, I think he's 7th in strokes gained around the green, 7th from tee to green, 22nd in putting, and 10th off the tee. And go and look at his distance numbers too. He's only gotten longer over the past year and a half, gaining on the field every week. And I think that could really come in handy this week. So I really like me some Matthew Fitzpatrick. Those are the 2 guys I got from the top of the board. Joey, what do you got?
I mean, I think this is where we agreed the most, was at the top of the board, which there's so many options at the top that sound good this week. It was kind of surprising to me that this is where we agreed the most, but here we are. Justin Thomas, 16-1. I'm on that. You talked about the Tom Fazio designed courses and Quail Hollow being one of his rework courses, obviously has a PGA championship there. I think pretty much everything about his game fits this course. He does a lot better on Bermuda, or at least he has a lot of wins on Bermuda grass that we talked about yesterday. And then, strokes up on the field on Fazio courses. Like shout out to Action Network for this too. Like I mentioned yesterday, over the last 24 rounds, JT's nearly 7 strokes up on the field in strokes gained total on Tom Fazio designed courses. That means something. Like he's very familiar with these type of courses. So I love JT this week. Definitely. Fitzpatrick, same deal. I mean, you said all the reasons why you would be on him. I mean, one of the best off the tee and around the green games last season, and a very good putter. Like I like Fitzy this week, hoping for some of that U.S. Open type of magic. Won the U.S. Open last year. So I like Fitzpatrick a lot this week. You talked about the difficult courses, and there's a lot of course comps that I looked at that could be looked at relatively similar to Congaree. So definitely in on Fitzpatrick. Jack. As we move down here, Sam Burns 28-1, Victor Hovland. I'm seeing this week too. I'm wondering if that's. I don't know if that's one that you got to or not, but there's a lot of good reasons for it. Cam Young 30-1, Colin Morikawa 30-1, Tom Kim, your boy 30-1, Max Homa 33, and then Shane Lowry 33-1. Where'd you fall here?
Yeah, I really like this range. There's a lot of good players here. I mean, Sam Burns is someone I harped on a ton last season as being one of the most consistent guys, a really good putter, good on Bermuda greens too. Victor Hovland, I was on him last week, and he was right there, just couldn't get things going on Sunday for whatever reason. Max Homa already has a win this year and looked really good at the President's Cup. I mean, there's a case to be made for a lot of these guys, but ultimately, the number one guy I like from this group shouldn't be much of a surprise. It's my boy Tom Kim. I just think he plays such a steady and clean game, and that's going to go a long way here at Congaree Golf Club. And I know he's not the longest off the tee. I think the fairways here will help him out a little bit, and if you have any concern about that distance, he still is the best player in this field over the past 24 rounds in strokes gained approach, and his long irons are incredible. I mean, go look at what he did at Quail Hollow for the President's Cup. On 17 or 18 on Saturday, he had the longest shot in by far. He had a 3-iron, I think, in his hands from like 250 yards out while everybody was like 175, 180. He hit it to the closest to the pin out of the group and then goes and hits the putt to steal it. He's a really good long iron player. He knows what he has to do to make up for that distance. And just how steady he is with hitting fairways, hitting it straight, not getting himself into trouble, capitalizing on those chances. And the putter can get hot. So I really like Tom Kim from this range. I see him as big as 30-1 out there. I would hammer that. I think Tom Kim is made for these types of moments. We've already seen him have no fear and not shy away from these types of situations whatsoever. In fact, it feels like the opposite with him. It feels like he thrives off of that pressure and everything with it. So I really like Tom Kim. It would be a remarkable scene if he was able to get his third win as a 20-year-old in this field over those type of players. It would be a real massive statement. And as I wrote in my article earlier, the crazy part is I think he has the talent to do it. So I'm all in on Tom Kim once again this week. I also like someone who you mentioned before the show. I wasn't on him yesterday, but now I'm on him, and you got off him today. I'm on Cam Young.
I don't blame you.
I was thinking of going with Victor. Victor was kind of my number 2, as I mentioned on the preview show yesterday. But I think I'm actually going to go with Cam Young. I think this is a course where he's going to let the driver absolutely go. And on difficult courses where you kind of need to lean on your driver and on lengthier tracks, he's been there. I mean, we've seen him contend in these types of fields. I think he had 7 top 3 finishes last year and like 4 runner-ups or something crazy. So we know that Cameron Young has the talent to do it. Just got named PGA Tour Rookie of the Year today. You were kind of making a case that might be inflating his head. Maybe it will. I don't know. I just feel like this is a course that could play to Cam Young's strengths, and 30-1 seems like a fair number. So I would understand if people go with, other guys in this range, because I could make a case for a lot of them, but you got to be choosy at some point, and I elected to go with Tom Kim and Cameron Young. What do you got?
I really cannot say much against that at any capacity. I mean, Cam Young, I really feel like he's bound to rebound here at this event. And I think the driver, you make all the cases for it. He can absolutely let it rip this week with the wide fairways. So, I mean, second in this field in strokes gained off the tee over his last 24 rounds. We know the driver is like, he can absolutely nuke it. So I like Cam Young. I don't know what pulled me away. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't necessarily the Rookie of the Year thing. It's just because I could also see that as a confidence booster, right? Like, you get named Rookie of the Year. Maybe he's feeling good and he comes in this tournament like, yeah, I'm here and I'm ready to win. So I don't mind that at all. The guy I got to though was Shane Lowry, 33-1. He just fits here, man. I mean, the Ocean Course at Kittiyama, he finished T4 at the PGA Championship of 2021, kind of a comp course there. He usually does pretty well at Pebble Beach. I mean, he went through the 3-event stretch last year where he was T3, 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 starting at the Masters. I mean, he just knows these types of courses too. And he also ranked first in proximity to the hole from the sand and first in scrambling from the sand. One of those categories he was tied with Christian Bezadenhout. Little teaser, we'll talk about him later. But I do like me some Shane Lowry, and you mentioned it, how he was playing over there in the European Tour. So I like Lowry this week. I got there.
Yeah, I had a big win over in Europe. I was on Lowry a lot last year, man, and it felt like he was close several times. He should have won the so I think, it was the Honda Classic where Sepp Straka actually ended up picking up his first win. Kind of gagged it down the stretch when it started winning there. It was really weird, but Lowry had a couple of those close calls last year and sneakily had a really strong PGA Tour season. It feels like a win in America is long overdue for this guy. It's been so long since he's done it. Feels like, it does feel like a track where he would fit really well, as you mentioned, tracks like this or tracks in South Carolina. He's performed well. You mentioned Kittiyama, the PGA Championship that was here where Phil Mickelson won, of course. I believe he was in contention, and I had him at the RBC Heritage where he was hovering around too. So, I like Lowry this week. I completely see why you're on him. I just, unfortunately couldn't squeeze him in.
Can't get them all. You cannot get them all. We're pretty much the same thing this week with 7 or 8 golfers. Sometimes I'll go as high as 10 and put less money on the guys. But this week I wanted to be a little bit more top heavy, so I put more money on like 3 golfers and then only got to 7 or 8. But as we continue to look at this board, you talked about somebody yesterday that you can't stand, but you kind of liked him this week. I'm wondering if you bet him. Tyrrell Hatton, 40-1. Hideki Matsuyama, 40-1. Aaron Wise, 45-1. Your boy, our boy, everybody's boy, if you bet him last week. If you're following our lead with Keegan Bradley at 50-1. Taylor Montgomery, 50-1. Sahith Theegala, 55-1. Are you on Tyrrell Hatton or our boy Keegan Bradley this week?
I haven't bet anything officially from this range. This is kind of where I still need to figure some things out, but I do really like Tyrrell Hatton, as they like to say overseas. I hate the guy. I like his fit on this course. Plays really well on difficult long tracks. We've seen him play well at API. We saw him play well at the Palmetto. The only time at Congaree, the only time we've seen this course, which was the Palmetto Championship. Really should have won that event. He was one of the 6 guys who tied for second place. Lost like 3 strokes putting, which is very odd for Tyrrell Hatton to do. So really should have emerged victorious in that poopy field that week. But still really good on these types of courses. Knows this track well. I think I'm going to end up getting on Hatton. It's just kind of a numbers game right now. But he's really the only one out of this group I like. Not sure if you mentioned – did you mention Billy Horschel in this group, or did you not get there yet?
Might not have gotten there yet. Do you see him at a different price? I see him at 60-1. But I didn't get that far down. But
okay, I see him at 55-1. So you probably see a book that I don't. But we're going to add him in here now because we've already spoiled it. Horschel's the other one from this kind of 40 to 60 pocket that I'm thinking about. I'm probably only going to be able to get one of those guys on my betting card, and I'm leaning Hatton right now. So that's where I'm at. What do you like out of this range?
Wise man. I like Aaron Wise.
A wise guy, huh?
We'll be in a little wise guy. Yeah. Hopefully nobody's going to come and try to, rip my legs apart or break my legs for my bets that I make, but I'm doing them legally. I'm not, there's no bookie out there anymore for me. So Aaron Wise guy, I like it. He's, I don't think he's really in the swing of things yet, pun intended, fall swing season. T64 at Shriners, but the irons just really weren't there for him in that event. I think this is a course where, he can, same type of thing with Cam Young. He can let the driver eat a little bit. And it's been a minute since he's pulled one off, but he's capable of winning on tour. He's done it before in the 17-18 season at the Byron Nelson. The course comp history, I was kind of looking at T17 at the Ocean Course at Kiowa in 2021. Good history at Quail Hollow, a T2 and 3 out of 3 in his events, hitting top 20s for 3 at Quail Hollow. So Aaron Wise, I don't know if this is his week. 45-1 just kind of made sense for me here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Aaron Wise this week. He was another guy who sneakily had a pretty good season last year and had some stretches where he was in contention. I remember he was there at the Memorial in particular, which is another difficult course. So, yeah, I don't hate it. Don't hate it.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, I don't really expect him to win, but a lot of things fit for him for me. Corey Connors 65-1, Maverick McNeely 66-1, who I'm fading in a different light, but I don't know. Maybe an outright makes sense because he's kind of popped a little bit. That putter's been just really good lately. 70-1, Cam Davis, Emiliano Grillo. Talk about putters. His putters come around 70-1. Keith Mitchell 70-1. Mito, our boy, 70-1. Tom Hoagie Buns, 70-1. Brian Harmon, 75-1. Anybody in here that you liked? I know we talked about Grillo and Mitchell a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, those are the two guys I'm for sure on from this range. I'm going to bet Grillo until he stops putting like this. It's basically that simple. We know what type of ball striker he is. That's what's been consistent over the last few years. The putter, I mean, had been terrible up until the John Deere really as of last year. And then ever since, he's just kind of been rolling. He's got 4 top 5s in his last 9 starts. And in each of those, he's gained with the flat stick. So until Emiliano Grillo stops putting like he is, I'm going to be on him. I think 70 is a really fair number. And I'm also going to be on Keith Mitchell too, guy who I'm kind of going the driver heavy route with a couple of these guys. And then you'll also see me, playing the clean and steady game like Tom Kim. So I'm kind of going different paths just because I'm not too sure how this course is going to play. But if it is going to be driver friendly and kind of give an advantage to those who are longer, look no further than Keith Mitchell, man. He led the PGA Tour in driving distance last year, averaged 330 yards per drive. He was 3rd in strokes gained off the tee. He's an absolute bomber, and he usually does some of his best work on Fazio tracks. Look at the Wells Fargo. He's got 2 top 10s at Quail Hollow in his past 3 trips there. The Arnold Palmer Invitational was another course that I kind of compared this to due to its length and its difficulty. Keith Mitchell has 2 top 10s there in the past 3 or 4 years. I just really think this is a place where he'll be able to get around really well. He did miss the cut at the Palmetto Championship, but I think this is a spot where he can bounce back. I know it was at a different track, but last year his best result was at the CJ Cup, so maybe that's something you can look into. Also, we're back in the Southeast, and Keith Mitchell, he's a Tennessee native, graduated from the University of Georgia. He's a Georgia Bulldog, a Southeasterner, true and true. We're back pretty close to Georgia, actually. We're like in Southeast South Carolina, so not all that far from Georgia. I think it's a comfortable place for Keith Mitchell. Kind of making up all these angles in my head just to feel a little bit more confident. But I like
friends and family in attendance for support there.
Yeah, right. He'll drink wine every night and have a smile on his face and go to bed happy. Get tucked in bed. I don't know. But 80-1 on Keith Mitchell. I think this is a fair spot to take a flyer on him. So those were the 2 guys I liked from this range. What did you get to?
Mitchell makes a lot of sense, man. I think, I was mentioning Justin Thomas earlier with the strokes gained total on Fazio courses, and you mentioned it, the Tom Fazio courses. I want to say he was 4th in strokes gained total on Tom Fazio course over the last 24 rounds. And I could be wrong about that, but I believe that I saw his name.
I think he was 5th.
Was he 5th? Okay.
I think so.
So still though, that's for this field. That's saying something. And I like that a lot. Grillo is the guy that I got to here. Of course, man, we can't stop riding this wagon. Like, I would feel like shit, complete and utter shit, if he hits the 1 week I don't bet him when we've been riding this. Like, the irons are obviously there, and he's got the putter working too now. Like, the irons let him down on which event? I forget which event it was now.
It was Shriners.
Was it Shriners?
Yeah, you had him as your one and done, and he pooped the bed.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Grillmaster. So, you know what? You owe me, is what I'm going to say. You owe me now. Another top 5 at the Zozo. There's not much to really dislike about Grillo's game right now. So even though it's a strong field and we kind of like him better for the scrub events, this is still kind of a scrubby event. It's not technically it's not like a major. It just has a major feel to it with the golfers that are in this field. So maybe some of these guys aren't taking it as serious as we will think that they will. But it is a difficult course, and you want a guy that's pretty well-rounded, and I think that's Grillo. Moving down the board a little bit, we're Where did I stop at? 75. I stopped at Brian Harmon, I believe. Adam Hadwin, 80-1. Alex Noren, 80-1. Seabass, Christian Bezadenhout, 80-1. Jason Day, 80-1. Ricky Fowler, 80. You just can't wait for my explanation on Day, can you? Siwoo Kim, 80-1. Tommy Fleetwood, Let the Long Locks Flow, 80-1. Big Papa Pump, Scott Stallings, 90-1. Sepp Straka, 90-1. Before we go complete bomber, I'll just kind of stop it there. Well, SH Kim is also 95-1 before we get to the 100 range. Anybody in here?
Yeah, this is where I kind of start to lose interest a little bit. There are still some good golfers down here. Like Tommy Fleetwood is someone who plays better on difficult courses. You actually used him as your one and done last week, and he got you a nice T53 finish. Thank you very much, Mr.
I'm just getting screwed all over the place. One and done.
Hey, I had a decky last week. He got T40 in his home country. He really let me down. So I'm like Tommy. I'm just not going to bet him outright until he probably wins in North America. He's just not someone I really bet on very frequently, but I do believe this is like a course where he could actually play better. I know Bezadenhout is someone that you kind of hinted on earlier. I don't know if you're going to get to him on an outright, but he's a good player in this range that I believe in the upside more so than others. But the only one I really thought about and I'm probably going to end up getting a wager on is Sepp Straka. I was on him last week at the Zozo. I know he didn't have the week that I thought he was going to, but I'm still not like – that didn't dishearten me in any way. Like I still believe in Sepp Straka's upside. We've seen it too frequently. 2 runner-ups, obviously 2 playoff losses, and I think his past 5 starts now. So and decent field in one of them too, you know, obviously a playoff event. I just think it's a really good number for Sepp Straka, someone we've seen the upside on recently. So I like Sepp more than anyone down here. Who'd you get to?
I got to 3 names in here.
Interesting.
This is where we kind of broke apart a little bit, I want to say. Christian Bermudahout. The putter was pretty good last year. It's been a little bit wishy-washy so far in the new season, but he plays pretty well in Bermuda. Over his last 24 rounds, he's 4th in this field in strokes gained around the green. Tied for first last year, like I mentioned Shane Lowry earlier, tied for first with him in proximity to the hole from the sand, which could be a key part this week or key area you need to be good at. At least that's how I'm kind of attacking it. We saw him play well at the President's Cup, the Quail Hollow potential course count because Tom Fazio was the designer or redesigner there. So I do like Bezadenhout here, at least to take a flyer. Jason Day, I know you don't want to hear my entire spiel on him. I will not give my spiel. Hopefully I didn't cut out too bad yesterday, but a lot of things are lining up. I think there could be a different Jason Day than the one that's letting me down multiple times, and I'll leave it at that. I think it could be Jason Day week, and if it's not, it's most certainly not probably, but I'm still going to go there. Sepp Straka, I also like that. Yeah, man. He missed the cut here at Palmetto, right? But that was a different or at the Congaree for the Palmetto Championship. That was a different Straka, really. Like, he missed 2 straight cuts going into that event and only had 1 top 20 in 18 events leading up to that tourney. He's playing much better golf right now, and I really could see him contending. He can compete with these guys, the big names on this board. He's done it multiple times. So I like Sepp Straka. That's pretty much all I got to here. I say all when I literally just named off 3 guys that I like, and you didn't bet anybody in this range except for Seppi, I think. Did you end up betting him, or did you just you like him?
I like him. I haven't officially bet him yet because there's one other guy that we're going to get to here in a sec that is lingering in my thoughts, and I'm probably only going to choose one of those 2. So,
all right, so let's go ahead and move on then. We got Andrew Putnam. I've seen people on him this week. Davis Riley. I feel like we've been betting him a lot lately. Denny McCarthy. We have JT the Postman posting at 100-1. Russell Henley 100-1. Seamus Power 100-1. Then Sebastian Munoz 100-1. Before we go complete bomber, some other interesting names kind of in this range. I guess you got Harris English, who's might be broken. I don't even know. Then we have Kurt Kittiyama. I've been seeing some love for. Who's the guy that you're in between on with Sepp Straka here?
Yeah, I've been seeing Kittiyama love for like the last 4 weeks now randomly. I'm not there, but whatever. To each their own. The one guy I was interested in from this range was JT Poston. I just thought the odds were a little bit too big. And we talked when we did the show a couple weeks ago. I want to say it was the Shriners, or maybe it was all the way back to the Sanderson where he had his bachelor party. And we heard it was a very good time and people were fading Poston because he might still not have been feeling all that well. I think we can kind of throw that out the door now with a couple of weeks having passed. And I know it hasn't been like an ideal start to the season for him, but he was, one of those really solid mid-tier players that kind of shined toward the end of last season and won the John Deere. I'm pretty sure you were on him that week, if I'm correct.
You think so? Yeah.
I believe you were, but I just feel like this is too big of a number for JT Poston. That's really all that intrigued me. I just think out of all these guys who are down here, he's the one who has shown like legitimate winning upside. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's all I really had from this range, though. I mean, Harris English, it's weird to see him at like 100-1. Webb Simpson's down here too at like 150. If you told me that 2 years ago when I first started gambling, I would have been like, no way, absolutely not. Like those were two guys who were riding hot at that time and like big time winners. So
who was the first guy you mentioned? I heard Simpson.
Just Harris English.
Oh, Harris English, yeah.
Being like 100-1, like even what was he? He was 100-1 at like Sanderson. Like it was it's ridiculous how far he's fallen. So in this range, yeah, I'm probably not going to get there. I've seen people on Henley this week. I feel like models always pop out Russell Henley, though. I've seen like
it's a model bet
every week. Russell Henley pops in models for some reason. But yeah, the only one that caught my eye was Poston. Do you have anyone down here at all?
I didn't get anywhere over here, and I kind of like, I don't know. I mean, if this becomes a short game contest, like if he's accurate off the tee and he can kind of play that short game, Danny McCarthy might be interesting. I don't know, man. Like this range here, Seamus Power actually kind of lines up as a decent value here, but I don't see him winning. So like if I can't actually envision somebody winning here, even though like I think he's valuable from a numbers perspective, this week is not the week for me to go ahead and go that route. Munoz, I'm completely off of. No thanks. I don't know how I've seen people try to writing him up and talk him up. No, absolutely no way in hell I'm betting Sebastian Munoz. Sorry. Considered betting against him in head-to-head matchups. Did not get there. Other than that, man, this is pretty ugly. Luke List is kind of interesting.
Is he though?
Down. Probably not.
Just what? I mean,
I'm not going to bet him.
He can't chip anymore. So, like, now that he has no short game whatsoever, he's kind of fucked if he doesn't hit the greens.
He's pretty fucked. Alex Smalley, Trey Mullinax, Benny Hanna? Are we? I don't know.
Benny Hanna? That's great.
I don't know. I'm not doing that. No. Yeah, Troy Merritt's way down there. I'm just looking throughout this list here. I really can't see myself. Ches Reavie should not be that high of a number, though. And I know he's like very hit or miss. I don't think he should be that high of a number, though. Like, what is he?
350-1?
I'm seeing 420-1.
Woo!
Like, I might just be inclined to put $1 on him. Just for the fuck of it. Like, he does kind of line up here as like this could be a course for him. I don't see him winning, but like $1 for Ches Reavie, I don't know. That's possible.
We're getting into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you see? Like who's interesting that like maybe you won't bet as like an outright winner, but maybe even a placement bet, like a top 40 or 20 or something. I mean, there's not much value in that 40 market, but I don't know. You see anything?
Yeah, there are a couple of guys who I think are semi-interesting down here. One of them I actually put a top 20 wager on, one of my 2 top 20 wagers. One of those was S.H. Kim at, what did I get that at? Let me pull it up real quick. I got that at plus 280 for a top 20. Someone who I feel like, I mentioned this yesterday too, that maybe, except for maybe just the golf junkies, no one's really noticing what this young kid has done thus far. And it hasn't been much, but he's someone who really popped over in the Asian tour and came over and had a really good showing at the Shriners. Really good, young, talented kid. I don't know if he has the full game put together to do it in this type of field, but I thought plus 280 for a top 20. I mean, that's coming in the top 25% of the field this week. I feel like that's, a decent opportunity. One other guy that I saw some people talking about, scrolling way down here. Where did I find him at? Yosiap at 500 to 1.
Oh, God, what?
I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew anything about this guy. I know nothing about him, but I've seen two different people talk about him. I don't think in the outright market, but maybe being as an interesting value play as a top 40 or top 20 or something. Yeah, I know nothing about this dude, but I've seen people talking about him. He's 500 to 1 in the outright market right now, basically bottom of the board. Yeah, those
I see him at Bet Rivers at holy crap, man. I don't even know what you call those odds. The number's so big. I'm learning here. New names and new golfers here. Like you said, you don't know anything about this guy. I literally don't know anything about it. And I don't even know. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. You talked about the placements though for SH Kim. That makes a lot of sense. I kind of dig that. Wasn't somebody I wanted to bet outright, but I do like that call for a placement bet. Satoshi Kodaira came through last week with a top 40 as plus 160, which was pretty nice. I mean, that helped fill in the you got the Keegan Bradley money, but then you toss that little extra on the bone there. I kind of like that. And then of course we got the Keegan Bradley top 20 too. So we kind of double dipped there with Bradley, which was real nice. So far I don't have any placement bets though. And I have no nationality props, even though this is the finalized bets show. I don't know. I probably won't even do a nationality prop. I might get some placement bets, but the nationalities this week just kind of looked ugly to me. We're doing some guesswork here for the outrights as far as how this course is going to play with a stronger field and just how it's going to play, this time around. I don't feel comfortable enough to kind of do the whole nationality thing when there's a lot of guys in each category that I could see, or each nationality that I could see potentially popping this week. Did you get anywhere with nationality props?
No, I got no nationalities this week. Nothing really stood out to me. The top 40 market is basically flooded because there's only 78 guys in this week's field. So, yeah, I only had two props in total. I mentioned one being SH Kim, top 20 at plus 280. The other was Emiliano Grillo at plus 190. So
there we go.
Mentioned why we like Grillo. Maybe he won't win, but if his ball striking and putting combination is on like it's been for basically the last 4 or 5 months, I think a top 20 finish is very realistic for him. And at nearly plus 200, I think that's a really fair number. So those were the two props I got to, and that's it this week, big dog.
Yeah, I like that Grillo one a lot. I might jump in with that with you. Yeah, man. The head-to-head matchups, I did an article earlier, so I just want to quick plug that. Check out the head-to-head matchups article. I took Bezadenhout over. Now I'm trying to think who I even took him over. Why can't I think right now?
Was it Max Homa?
No, I did take Shane Lowry over Max Homa.
Yeah, I read your article. I forget who you took Bezadenhout. Yeah. It was Keegan. You took him over Keegan.
Keegan, yeah, I'm fading Keegan this week, just coming off the big win. I hate doing it because, he treated us well, but time zone change, the jet lag. I mean, you're celebrating, you're so animated, it's a lot.
Yeah, he mentioned he was going to hit it hard after he got that win, and because he was in Japan, the diehard New England Patriots fan that he is, he said that the Patriots were starting at about 3 a.m. in Japan. So he was definitely up all night, might not have gotten the best sleep after that victory. So I could see fading Keegan Bradley this week, even though he did treat us very well last week.
Potential miscut?
Maybe. You can't miss the cut here, big dummy.
Oh, wait, what am I talking about? It's a no-cut event.
They're going to cut him anyway.
Wish it was a different – he's going to withdraw. They're
going to cut him.
Siwoo or something. No, man. That was pretty much – I just like Bezadenhout this week too, so that was the reason behind that. Grillo, I took Grillo over Maverick McNeely. So those are the three matchups, but there's a lot of reasons why. I'm not going to get into all the details, but go ahead and check out the article. Obviously, check out Jack's article as well. He did the outrights and a course breakdown and stuff with his article. So go check that out. I'm going to read that when we get off of here because I had no time trying to prepare for this. But yeah, definitely check those out. Jack, favorite bet for this upcoming event?
That's a good question. I would probably have to go Matt Fitzpatrick, honestly. I really like Fitzpatrick's well-rounded game on this course. I think he's just a consistency monster. Like you mentioned, the floor, like we know what we're going to get more weeks than not out of Matthew Fitzpatrick. Like 80% of the time he's out there, he's going to be probably inside the top 20. He's going to have the steady game where he's not going to make a ton of bogeys. It's not going to play him out of contention. The lower scores, not being as gettable plays right into his favor. So I'm going Matthew Fitzpatrick 22-1. I found him at is my favorite bet this week. What do you got?
Favorite bet is actually Christian Bezadenhout. Now that we talked about him being the Patriots fan, staying up all night, it's Bezadenhout over Keegan Bradley. Favorite bet. Favorite outright. Oh boy, I could have went a few different ways with this. I'm gonna go with Shane Lowry. I think this could really be his week here on American soil. I could see him taking another one down. It's been a little while since we've seen it, but he's the recent form is still there. I think people are just kind of, and that was my reasoning for taking him over Max Homa. It's fresh in our minds as PGA Tour fans, the Homa victory, but not the European victory that he just had. So that's one of the reasons why I think maybe he can carry over some of that, and he likes these types of courses. So Shane Lowry is going to be my favorite outright. One and done is very interesting this week because I don't know. Do we want to blow one of the do we want to use one of the guys that are going to be that we want to use in a major? That's the biggest question I had coming into this. Where did you fall with one and done this week?
Yeah, so by the way, I do want to mention we're going to do it now every week where the leader is going to go first. So that way we probably won't do this because we're not dickheads, but we could just go with the same guy, and no matter what, I'd stay ahead if we went with the same guy every week. You know what I mean? So just so we avoid that situation, even though it probably never happen, whoever's in the lead will go first every week. We can just establish that now.
All right. I like it.
And not to toot my own horn, but I am ahead of you through the first 3 weeks here of the new PGA Tour season. Hideki did let me down, though. I started off hot. I had Griot with a T5 at the Sanderson. I had Matthew Neesmith with a T2 at the Shriners. Only had 7 points through the first 2 events, and we're playing low score. We're kind of doing it a different way in terms of one and done. But then Hideki finished T40 last week. Fortunately, you had Tommy Fleetwood, who did even worse. Did T53. I've thought about this a lot, and I'm not going to burn one of the big name guys. I decided I'm not going to do that. It's a very long year. We're going to be doing this hopefully every week, so I want to leave some guys in the bag for the more serious events, majors, the players, all that type of stuff. So I ultimately decided I'm going to use a guy who I'm not worried that I'm ever going to use again, and that's Tyrrell Hatton. I'm using Tyrrell Hatton as my one and done this week.
No.
I am.
This is the week I catch up.
Probably just to rub it into me. Tyrrell Hatton's going to come in 78th.
Yeah, because you can't take a one and done on a guy that you really can't stand. No, I actually think that that's a good call for this particular course, Tyrrell Hatton. I know Fitzpatrick is your favorite outright. So
you gonna burn him here? You gonna burn him here?
I'm not gonna do it though. I'm not gonna do it. Oh, I really considered somebody else though. That's near the top. I am between JT and Shane Lowry right now.
Oh wow!
I'm between. Wow. I would
two
consider.
Guns, I'd even say.
Huh?
I'd say 2 big guns. I'd even say
2 big guns. Yeah.
But this could be an opportunity for you to jump up.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking here because I think the course is pretty difficult, and I do think one of these guys are going to win the tournament. Like I feel good about the guys that all the guys we've talked about as liking for outrights. I feel good about their floor this week. I think they're going to finish within the top 20. So why not go ahead and use this as an opportunity to kind of make up some ground where I can – there's still plenty of big guns out there I can use for the majors. There's Xander. There's Patrick Cantlay. There's all the rest of the guys in this field. Give me Justin Thomas.
Wow.
One and done. We're
That's
doing
a
it.
big one.
We're doing it this week at this, I don't know. I don't want to call it a poopy event because it's actually pretty decent.
No, it's really good. It's definitely the best of the fall.
It's best of the fall. I agree with that. So Why not? He loves the fall season. You've mentioned that before. Let's go ahead and do it.
I don't hate it, JT. It's a bold statement. Hopefully he comes through for you, or else you just burned him.
I know.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out this week.
You're going to use him at a major and just wipe the floor with me. I can already feel it.
We'll see.
We'll see, though. Jack, this has been great, man. This is much better than yesterday where we were like getting kicked off every 2 seconds. I'm pretty sure I came in crystal clear. I don't know. You can confirm that. But yeah, man, we got this coming up tomorrow, teeing off tomorrow. I'm excited to watch some Bulls basketball coming up here. I'm excited for postseason baseball, college football, NFL football. There's hockey going. Of course, you're steady watching the Blackhawks. There's a lot going on in the sports world right now, which makes it cool. And if you want any updates, Chicago sports related content, anything like that, you can go to ontapsportsnet.com. Check out all the great work over there. OnTap Bets on social media and OnTap Golf. Jack is at Jack Bushman 2. I'm at Joey Knows Nothing. Jack, any final thoughts for this tournament before we go ahead and wrap this thing up?
Yeah, this is probably the event I'm looking forward to the most here in the fall. Probably, if I had to guess the last time, we'll see a decent chunk of these guys until the Century Tournament of Champions to kick off 2023. So I'm excited. It's going to be a tough test. I'm looking forward to seeing all the ridiculously tough situations that these guys find themselves in. We were chatting throughout the week, and you sent me that Palmetto Championship edition of Golf is Hard. Just from that tournament alone, all the difficult shots that guys found themselves having to hit. So I'm really excited to see everyone's game get tested like this. And yeah, hopefully we stay hot and go full on 1990s Bulls mode. Looking for the three-peat this week, baby.
Three-peat, let's go. I tried to say that yesterday, but I was cutting out to complete utter hell that nobody could hear that comment.
You forgot your internet was plugged into the toaster.
I was fried too. Yeah, Jack, great stuff today. Hopefully we take down another one. Hopefully you get your third in a row. I like that 1990s Bulls, comparison there. I feel like you're heading in the right direction. Hopefully everybody cashed some tickets and we've been a little bit of help to you. I mean, any questions, comments, you guys want to shout out some ideas? We appreciate all you guys listening and watching. I mean, next time in the comment section, jump in here. Like we don't bite. We don't bite. We might, give you some shit about some takes or something, but I think for the most part, we've had crappy takes before. I mean, that definitely happens. So
you had one today. You bet on Jason Day. That's a crap.
Exactly. I'm just a monster. I don't know what I'm doing to myself. But with that said, we are on Tap Bets and on Tap Golf. We're out of here. Cash some tickets, crack them, lock them, and let's make some money.